There's a paradox of feeling like giving is powerful and receiving makes us feel like we're failing because we can't do it all. But what if it's the opposite? What if giving too much, pouring from an empty cup, is the failure, and receiving in those seasons of life where you need that is powerful and needed? I didn't even brush my teeth or shower at one point because I truly felt like I needed to pour everything I had into my family. But that ended up hurting us in the long run. The Father alive does not want you asking for help, especially when it comes to the most intimate parts of your life, which is your home, your motherhood. So pray for that vulnerability. Ask God to come in, ask the Holy Spirit to come in and just show you the parts of yourself that you need to just release to Him. Ask God to show you the darkest corners of your heart or the areas of your life where you've got such a tight grip, and ask Him to help you to let that go. And He's going to gently guide you through that.
It says, you know how to give, and yet you have never learned how to receive. You still lack one thing. Become a beggar. Learn how to beg. Learn how to receive with humility. He's basically saying, stand before God and admit that you are poor. Admit that you need help in whatever way it is.
Welcome to the Catholic Mom's Journey podcast. I'm Alyssa May LaBanca.
And I'm Alexis Escobar.
And together we'll explore faith, motherhood, and God's grace in the beautiful mess of everyday life. Grab your coffee and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back. Today's topic, episode 9, we're going to be talking about receiving with humility. A lot of the times it's hard for us to receive help because we feel like we're doing something when we're giving help and we're doing something or being productive, just like Instagram tells us. But all of us will go through seasons where we need to accept help from others in order to function properly. It's more blessed to give than to receive, right? We've heard that. Like we have to help other people with our talents, help other people with our time at work, and giving at church and being involved in ministries. But it's difficult for us to realize or identify when we're in a season of having to receive. So that's what we're going to cover today. And when Jesus was walking to his crucifixion with his cross, Simon of Cyrene helped him carry his cross. So if Jesus needed help with that, we're going to need help with the things that we go through in our own lives. There's a paradox of feeling like giving is powerful and receiving makes us feel like we're failing because we can't do it all. But what if it's the opposite? What if giving is actually like giving too much, pouring from an empty cup, is the failure, and receiving in those seasons of life where you need that is powerful and needed? And we've gone through that ourselves.
So yeah, as moms, I feel like we want to do everything naturally. We want to be able to make the food, clean the house, set everything in order, get the kids to every single practice, and just do it all. And then still have time to somewhere squeeze in that 10 to 15 minutes for our own time for ourselves. And I think that's where so many of us start to get depressed or have anxiety because we try to do it all. And then when help is always offered to us, we reject it. And for me, I know that's very much the same. In the inside, I'll be crying out for help, or like thinking to myself, can this person just help me? Or like somebody just, smile to this baby from the pew to make him to get distracted, so that way he'll just stay still for another 5 more minutes. And never do I truly ask for help. And that's something that I've been working on, as moms or even just dads. Anybody in general, we try to tackle everything by ourselves, and receiving the help is so hard. It's almost like we have to break down this barrier. Once we break it down, then I feel like that's also when we see the true love from everybody in the community, and being able to see what, the church and the values come together of, helping one another and being there for each other and making each other successful through Christ and helping each other. It's a constant thing, right? To work on, work on ourselves, and then also even like within marriage life, saying that we need help to put food on the table.
I think a lot about how over time the culture has shifted the way that motherhood ought to be. So for thousands of years, women raised their children with other people in their community, right? Typically the men would work, hunter-gatherers, and then the women would care for the children, raise the children, not because it's a lesser job, but because that provides the stability. Food comes to the table, there's a roof over your head. Today, it's structured that way most of the time. I mean, like now women are working and men are staying home. There's one parent that's taking care of the kids and one parent that is going out, or both parents are working. It just depends on the situation. But for generations, there was grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, a lot of times living under the same roof. That's how it is in my country. Like back home in the Philippines, my grandparents, my aunt and uncle, my cousin live in the same home. I grew up with my grandparents in the home. So my parents could work and then it could run well. Today, a lot of us don't have that. We all have our own home, our own mortgage or rent. One parent goes out and works. The other one is exhausted at home, and then you flip-flop if you're able to do that. And so the main parent ends up bearing the responsibility of cooking and cleaning and caring for the kids. And a lot of the times, like, we end up losing ourselves in that. And it's hard to step out of that and be like, okay, I do need a moment to myself. I struggled with that. Like I had that guilt. I didn't even brush my teeth or shower at one point because I truly felt like I needed to pour everything I had into my family. But that ended up hurting us in the long run. So slowly when I started taking care of myself, that kind of gave me the building blocks and the realization of, okay, I do need to care for myself and I do need to ask for help sometimes. So it took me a while to kind of open up and ask people for help. And it also was a challenge trying to figure out what exactly I needed help with, right? Because people always want to help. That's just the natural, like, human instinct. But we have to look around and maybe even like come up with like a list and say, okay, garbage disposal is broken. The furnace is broken, which all of this just happened to me. Even as simple as like my basement is piled with boxes of stuff that we've collected over the last 10, 15 years. And you go down there and you get analysis paralysis because you're looking at your own stuff. It's triggering all these memories and then you don't know what to do. But if someone comes over and helps you start to kind of sort through all that, your body doubling, you're able to like actually go through it and not be so in your feelings about it. And you can get things moving. And that's what happened in the studio here too. When Alexis first came over here, I showed her the studio and like she saw all the equipment and like it was a mess down here. And I told her my dream about like starting up this podcast and she's like, I'll do it with you. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then from there, it's just slowly get organizing things, trying to figure out where things go and tackling and making it come true. But it all starts with accepting the help or coming together and working on it together.
Yeah. None of us are meant to bear any of this alone.
No.
That's not how God made us. Like God can do it all, but he's God.
Yeah.
He created us so that we could create things ourselves, but do it together.
Mm-hmm. And, when we talk about this topic, it's not just a financial burden where, to be able to ask for help. I think we get also shy and embarrassed, and then we also have not our guard, but not self-esteem. I'm like drawing pride. There we go. Lose our pride. Feel like we lose our pride when we have to ask for help, so especially when it comes to financially. Because that's hard to say that. One, you don't want to expose other people in your business, and then doing it also and saying, I am I do need help putting food on the table. I do need help with these bills, you know? But you can have those same feelings when it comes to another mom struggling to be able to clean the house because it's chaotic, or the same feelings as don't want to ask for somebody to pray over you because you are too shy, or you're letting your pride kind of get in the way of, oh, this isn't the moment, don't do it. And we lose out on those opportunities to be able to be there for one another, or you lose out on that opportunity to let somebody be able to help you and see the generosity and see the greatness of other people and how that can affect your life. I think I like what you were told once, like, right now we're in the season of, you're in the season of receiving. And then whenever it's time to give, you'll be able to give, And I think accepting that season, because it's hard. I mean, I would not have been able to make it to where I'm at right now if it wasn't for all the family that have stepped in and be able to help childcare while Omer and I worked, and then being able to help us financially whenever we couldn't make ends meet. Or even now, there's times where we can't be able to do certain events or certain things with the kids, but my mom or other family members will help take them to that, and so that way they can go have fun or experience it, or go see a movie with them that I haven't done in forever. So I'm extremely grateful, and I know whenever I get to that point of being able to give back, I will, because even now there's times where, there's a good mom community around here. And anytime any of us are in need, they'll send out an email like, hey, and your name doesn't have to be disclosed. So-and-so needs help, any way you can donate and stuff like that. I've given that way. Even when I know, okay, I only have $40, but I'm going to go ahead and give this person, $15-20 because I know I can make it the next 2 days until he gets paid again with this 20. And, helping each other out that way. And then distilling that into our kids, trying to tell our kids, it's okay to, receive help. I mean, for receiving help for them is more like, it's okay to get tutoring. It's okay to say, I don't understand this. And I think my 8-year-old is now kind of starting to understand that, because she's like, I tell her, like, if you don't understand, you need to ask for help. I don't know what you know and don't know. I don't know what you need help on. You're not explaining it to me. And then your teachers don't read minds either. And they have 40 other kids to look after, right? So it's okay to receive help, and it's better to learn how to do it now and ask for it, and then to wait until you're in college and then you're like, oh, I'm struggling. I don't know how to do this because I never learned it throughout my whole school year to sit there and ask for help, because come college, you're on your own.
I always think about how humans behave and why we do the things that we do. And I wonder if a core reason why it's so hard for us to accept help is because we set this kind of high bar for ourselves. Like, we already have to have it figured out. If we don't know it, then we're uneducated, which is such a silly thing to think, because I was stuck in that for a long time. It's so silly, because it's like, how could we possibly know everything? Once you switch your mindset once I switched my mindset from, I should know how to do this, to, okay, I don't know how, but I'm willing to learn. That's where I go to YouTube University and I watch a video on how to do something in my house. Or if I need help with how to budget, if I need help with how to handle relationships in my life, turning to people who have been through those experiences and asking them for help is not weakness. It's actually very resourceful. and the smart thing to do, the smarter thing to do. So if you're currently in that kind of mindset, it's called, so you have fixed mindset and growth mindset. If you're in the fixed mindset of, I don't want to ask anyone for help, I should figure this out on my own, and I'll do it when I have the time to or the energy to, then you're putting yourself in a very, very difficult place when there's a ton of resources around you within your own community. If you don't have a community, start like building one. You can build one anywhere you go. It doesn't even have to be at your church. It could be within your neighborhood, at neighborhood events, at the library, whatever. Just put yourself out there and you have to accept that you don't know everything and you can't do everything. And that's fine. That's not weakness. That's recognizing that you're human. And another thing too is gossip. I think gossip has ruined a lot of how we're wired as human beings. Like, kids can be mean. Kids can be mean in school. And so a lot of the times, like, quietly, without even realizing it, we're internalizing like, oh, they're talking about like something dumb that they did, like another person, right? And you internalize that. And then you're like, well, I'm not going to talk about me not knowing how to do something or me not having it all together. And then you grow up with that idea. And social media is a huge, huge culprit for that, especially Facebook. Like the Facebook comments are very nasty. Like when parents put out videos, let's say of someone, they have their kid in a car seat. Well, then you're going to get like 100 comments saying, oh, they should be rear facing. They should have a 5-point harness. And which I understand, like there's safety involved, but like it's the way that it's said that makes somebody feel bad. And other people are reading those comments. So it's like, it's just not being approached with charity and clarity and love, which is how God intended us to be as a community. So maybe take a step back from social media, which we all know we need breaks from that. And then just recognizing and realizing, gossip is going to happen no matter what. And any ideas that you formed about yourself and how you should be came from a place of lies and accusations. The father of lies does not want you asking for help, especially when it comes to the most intimate parts of your life, which is your home, your motherhood. So pray for that vulnerability. Ask God to come in, ask the Holy Spirit to come in and just show you the parts of yourself that you need to just release to him. Ask God to show you the darkest corners of your heart or the areas of your life where you've got such a tight grip, and ask him to help you to let that go. And he's going to gently guide you through that. And you have to have your eyes open, your ears open, and your heart open to what he's showing you. He can show you through anything, right? Through nature, through people in your community, through just interactions that you have with people. He's going to tell you, and you have to be open to it.
Yeah, so as mothers, we can really be able to start that change, not only for ourselves, and it's a daily thing, being able to remind ourselves it's okay to ask for help, but then we can also, start fresh with the next generation, our kids, being able to show them that it is okay. I was just over here, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know, but I was over here and Alyssa was just having a hard time. The 2-year-old just needed a nap. He was cranky. And I was just like, you know what? Go ahead and go put him to sleep. We'll stay longer. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, go. And so as she's in there trying to get him to sleep, I'm like, thinking, okay, what could really help me if I was her in this moment? And, so I started helping like clear stuff up, the mess that was around the house. And then I knew that she was struggling a little bit to kind of help get the rooms cleared and just to be able to do that. So I helped with one of the kids' rooms and started clearing it out. So, and then I talked to my kids during that process because they're with us. We're with us here. And I was telling them, I was like, look, this is what you do when you guys get older and you guys have friends that maybe have kids, or maybe you both have kids. This is what you guys should do for each other, is help each other out when you see one is struggling. and um and being able to do that. So just being an example in that way is okay, and I don't think if you kind of sometimes it's somebody that has to kind of take charge of it, and say, no, I'm gonna do this for you, and that's it. Obviously, if your friend's yelling at you to get out their house, they'll clean my mess, then that's a different story. But I think less likely you're gonna get more people that are accepting of the generosity. They're just overwhelmed or have troubles accepting the help or asking for the help. So sometimes it also is okay for us to kind of, I don't want to say force ourselves or like pressure it on them, but being able to kind of take it into our own hands and lead the way. Especially if you see somebody that's struggling or that somebody is struggling. I came across this quote from Pope Francis, and I really like it. It says, "You know how to give, and yet you have never learned how to receive. You still lack one thing. Become a beggar. Learn how to beg. Learn how to receive with humility." And so kind of going from this, he's basically saying stand before God and admit that you are poor, admit that you need help, in whatever way it is. Admit that you may need prayers. You need help doing the dishes. You need help with the groceries out to the vehicle. And we can't do it all by ourselves.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 12 to 16 says, "One body with many members, for just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body through many are one body, so it is with Christ. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all were made to drink of one Spirit. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, 'Because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, 'Because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less a part of the body." I'm going to continue reading because this is really good. "If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the organs in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single organ, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, 'I have no need of you,' nor again the head to the feet, 'I have no need of you.' On the contrary, the parts of the body which seem to be weaker are indispensable, and those parts of the body which we think less honorable we invest with the greater honor, and our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which our more presentable parts do not require. But God has so composed the body, giving the greater honor of the inferior part, that there may be no discord in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together." I think about the scripture a lot when I do recognize that I have friends that are stuck in that mindset that I was stuck in, where I was like sitting in my own mess in my home, taking care of 4 kids. And I didn't want people to come in and see my mess because I was embarrassed. I was disappointed in myself for not being able to handle it all. And I just thought that this is how it was supposed to be, that my failures on display in my own home was a reflection of myself, of my interior life. And it actually was. It was a reflection, but not in the way that I thought it was. It was a reflection of my pride, of me thinking that I could actually handle the job of 10 people onto myself. So when I see one of my friends that's struggling and I recognize like, okay, they've isolated themselves to the point where they have no longer invited anybody in their homes, not because they, how do I say this? They stopped inviting people in their home because they have their own mess that they're dealing with and they don't know how to deal with it. And they're kind of just stuck in this cycle of like self-blame. And I just had this recently. I reconnected with a friend maybe 2 years ago now. And slowly, like, she's invited me over. And yes, her house is a mess like any other house because you're living in it. But recently she told me that she really wanted to get her basement together because that was like her cave, like her area that brought her joy. And I totally get that because that's how this area is for me. This is the lower level of my house and it's my studio. And when my studio is not put together, I can't create, I can't think properly. And so I understood that. And so she didn't even invite me to come see it or to clean it. She was just venting about it. And I recognized that she needed that help. So I just told her, I said, hey, I'm willing to come back on another day. Let's schedule a few hours. I'll come back with garbage bags. I'll come back with my little vacuum thing, my wet vacuum thing, and we'll just tackle it. And she kind of thought about it for a moment. She's like, no, I don't want to put you through that. Like it's really, really bad down there. There's cat pee. And I was like, okay, so I'll wear a mask because I'm allergic to cats. I'll wear a mask, whatever. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, let me help you. I was there not that long ago. People came over, like I had black mold in this studio. And I was so embarrassed for anybody to come see it. But when I vented to one of my friends about it, she recognized I needed help and she came over and helped me. So I wanted to do this for my friend. And I did it. And her basement's coming together. Saint Therese of Lisieux, the little flower, is a great saint for this episode because her entire spirituality was built on receiving and not relying on her own strength. And that's the theme of this episode. She was very young. She was talented and zealous, but her life didn't look grand. It was very plain. She lived in a small convent in a small town, and she actually passed away from tuberculosis at a young age. I believe she was either 24, 25. And she understood that being little was not weakness, it was strength. And she called this little way. And her littleness was the elevator that lifted her to God. And she let God carry her. She was brutally honest about her failings and admitted immediately when she needed help. And then she accepted God's mercy. And we all could use that. We are all part of the body of Christ. And the more that we get to know ourselves through the eyes of God, the better we're able to identify how we can help others. And the only way that we get to that point is having a relationship with God, having a relationship with Christ. And how do you do that? You talk to them. Do it in your head. Do mental prayer. Go to your parish and kneel in front of the tabernacle. Find an adoration chapel. Google prayers for things that's on your heart. Get out of your head and start actually moving. So how do we embrace vulnerability? Sit in your house and name one area where you're drowning. Meal prepping, washing dishes, keeping up with the dishes, keeping up with the laundry, your career, your mental health, your marriage, name it. And don't just think about it, like name it to somebody that you trust. Say it out loud. And then admit that you can't do this alone. And it's terrifying because admitting that means that you're not in control. And that's the only way out, is being vulnerable and opening up. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that are listening right now that have been hurt from being vulnerable, from opening up to the wrong people. But there are people that are willing to listen and to step in and help. And then once you walk through that, you'll learn that the sky doesn't fall down. And when people step in, then grace flows through.